Hello and welcome back to Loren and Amazon Princess. This is video number 3 and we are being attacked by some goons. So, let's decide. I'm thinking it's probably best to focus on one of these dudes near the outside and try and take them both down fast. Yeah. It's Eleanor. Sword strike. Good hit as well. It's damage. Yes, Eleanor can take a bit of damage. That's I'm trying to spec her as tiny bit. Love the sound effect of that attack, right? So Eleanor, then a couple of bandits, then Loren. Okay, this should be enough to kill him. And he's gone. So let's focus on him. Okay, Eleanor, you've got a healing ability. You have at least 100 HP as your sword. 12, okay. No point using it yet because I've still got a lot of health. So for now, let's hit him. Stop using that battle cry. Defense value reduced from 25%. Sorry, fellow was going to burp there. Okay, so it's Eleanor. At the moment, my tactics basically amount to pile on one enemy and take him out fast. And then. Okay, so. Okay, Eleanor on this one, let's heal yourself. Take a little bit of damage there, but that's quite alright. Tiny bit of damage there, but I'm not worried about that. It's Loren again. This will kill him.
Why are there imbeciles everywhere I go?
I do quite like the fact that her sort of victory line is, why are there imbeciles everywhere I go? It's a perfectly valid question, so I don't have any skill points. So let's up the strength roll. Finished. Next. The money, After the first wave finished, Draco and Dora burst into the room. Princess Loren, Eleanor, what's all the ruckus? We heard noise and came as quickly as we could. I've got a feeling I'm not keeping these voices consistent. Sorry. You're a bit late, actually. There wasn't enough time for their conversation to continue, though. A new group of enemies started to materialize before them. Their forms soon to solidify before their very eyes. Eleanor tensed instinctively, knowing there was sorcery in play. Great, more goblins. The adversaries that had materialized were none other than a few goblins and a giant hulking overlord. It's Grub! The goblin shaman who captured you? Yes, be careful, his magic is very powerful. Not even one treat, or... Magic shaman! We can handle a few green genies by ourselves. Nope, no idea what's happening to her voice, sorry. Dora pulled out a short bow and an arrow. Indeed. Boss fight, Grom. The body set up for proceeding. Okay, so put him in there and her in as well. Now she's an archer, so we definitely want her in the back row, him in the back row as well. And keep these two in the front, okay. Wow, there's quite a few. So, we get Dora and Draco. Okay, so I get to use everybody. Right. What do we do? Goblin Scout, a couple of warriors. Let's have her perform an aimed shot straight at him. So I'm going to go for the old tactic and see how much damage I can do to him. Ah, so it clips an entire row, does it? Okay. I'm going to do that. The attack. Okay. Yes, I'm going to hit a fireball along the front row, because that should do a decent amount of damage. Then sword strike to him. Pretty much gone. And now it is gone. taken one of them down early. Good strategy seems to me. Get second one down. We've only got one of them on the front row. Okay, so now Dracula again, and this time let's hit the back row with fire. Inflicted something there, which is burning. Useful. Okay, so she can strike there. This should be enough to kill him. Excellent. So the two scout classes have fallen back, meaning I'm going to have to focus my fire on him. Unless aim shot might be sufficient to kill him, and it is. Oh, did he just use a revive? Oh, that's problematic if we can do that. Okay. Okay, her only real option is to strike him. As is. Can't use fireballs. I think that means you can probably only use it a couple of times. Let me guess, it uses up mana, I'd assume. Which I haven't been paying attention to, so. Okay, hit him with a magic ball. Strike. Strike. Damn it, missed. Aim shot. And this should be sufficient to kill him. Okay, so that's him down, and then we're just down to the Goblin Scouts. We should go down without too many problems. Magic. Kill him. Wow, he took a lot of fire.
Stand aside.
And
That's it?
magic bolts to finish.
Not even hiding behind that rock there?
And excellent. Vest of Mirrors. Cool. Staff of Storms. Promising, promising. Rack and ring them all. So let's level her up. She has Hunter and Thief. Flaming Torch. Single weakened scout. Potentially useful. Ice Blast. Lots of things that focus on enemies who are weakened in the Thief skill. The Hunter skill, I'm assuming. Hitting shot. Outflash. Sneak attack. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of her skills focus on pairing up with what the others can throw, which does of course make absolute perfect sense. So let's go for Paralyzed condition. Yeah, Paralyzed sounds useful, so let's get her a shot. And she's gonna need some skill, I suspect. Let's level you up. And okay, so you've got Elementalist damage. Blizzard, Tornado, Earthquake, Phantom. Defensive spell. Mage. Clarity, Cure. Some cures are here. Okay. Okay, let's get Fireball rank 2. Because you never know when it's going to be useful to be able to pile on the fireballs, and let's get some done. After a series of attacks from the party, Grob finally gave up. The creature collapsed, struggling to breathe. And before I move on, I'm just going to do some fiddling around in the inventory. Inventory. So, old quarterstaff. Let's give him this Staff of Storms, which looks better in every regard. That's what he's currently using. Old quarterstaff, standard long sword. Ah, right, that's taking up 2 slots there, okay. Armour. New vest, cloth armour, and this armour of mirrors, which is actually less resist. Okay, so it resists slow, I think. Boost to magic, boost to health regeneration, which could be useful, but special bit bit slow, a bit less defense, but I think I'm going to give him that. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Loren, are either of these swords better than the tempered longsword? Fine longsword. Okay, they're not as good. Standard short sword. Now, I've always been one to believe if you're going to dual wield, you should at least dual wield 2 decent sized weapons. You know, a couple of swords or a couple of daggers. I've never liked that style of dagger and sword, so let's give her fine longsword as her offhand weapon. Let's look at you. Dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Do any of you need a new helm, by the way? You might. Padded cap as opposed to padded cap. Nope, okay, fair enough. Absolutely the same. She's fine. What are you using? Leather armor? Yeah, okay. The helm. Yeah, better okay, yep, you can equip that. Okay. You don't have any melee weapons equipped, which could prove problematic later, but let's assume it's alright for now. Quest log. Okay. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to save my game, I think. Save in slot 3 instead of slot 2, because who does it that way? Anyway, let's get back to the game. You've lost. Do you have anything to say before I kill you? Just one thing. Grob lifted his staff and growled an incantation that cast a spell over the entire group. Draco had no time to protect them with an anti-curse, and the group was instantly paralysed. Loren struggled against the spell, but Grob's sorcery was too much, even for her. You may have managed to defeat me this time, but this is far from over. I have another surprise for you. Why don't you just kill them while they're paralysed, you numpty? The dead goblins and thugs whom the group had killed were changing form, turning into what looked like city guards. Though they were in a pool of blood, the guards' uniforms were unmistakable. We're in serious trouble now. I do hope you like humans, Queen, Amazon Queen. You're all going to rot in the Emperor's prison now. Well, balls. Grob disappeared, fading into thin air just as he had appeared. The screams were enough to alert the local guards to come running to see what had happened. This is bad. Blast that Grob, he's foiled me again. You'd think I'd know better by now. We have more to worry about right now. Halt! Lower your weapons! Despite the demands of the guard, Loren had no intention of surrendering. She tried to resist as the soldiers swarmed around them, shouting obscenities. But it was futile. There were too many of them, and soon everyone's hands were shackled behind them, as they were pushed through the streets to their fate. Unhand me at once! Cease your struggling, wench! Wench! You will die this day! Your Majesty, no! Fighting will only make us look more guilty. Just let them take us in. I promise I can get us out. You promise? Dwarf's honour. That's nonsense. You can't promise to get us free from a jail cell. Yeah, I can. I bet you 10 gold I can. Yeah, I've got the feeling this is going to be the least consistent voice in the game. I apologise. A guard pushed Eleanor forward harshly, and she stumbled forward with a groan. Listen, I can cast a flash spell to blind them all right now. It'll give us more than enough time to escape. We can then take the horses and seek refuge with the elves and the druids. They're friendlier than these guys by far. Sorry, I have a feeling I was doing this girl's voice for this guy there. Okay. Focus. Get the voices right, Richard. What are you guys whispering? Shut up! After the guard moved back to restraining Loren, Eleanor inched close back to Draco and Dora. But the Empire! Oh, those guys! Pfft, bunch of big meanies, really. They'll just enslave us, you know. No trial or anything. But we can escape right now with my magic. This was a key decision that rested upon their shoulders at that late hour of the night. While the journey was still in just the early stages, the importance of this choice was unparalleled. But they had to make the decision quickly, and that is exactly what they did. Decisions. Well, I love a good jailbreak. As much as it hurt her pride to do so, Loren was convinced to surrender to the guards. The The party was captured and locked away in prison. Dora informed them that she couldn't free them as promised, since it was more difficult than she originally thought. Really? I am going to kill you, Dora. As time slipped away, the tensions between them were starting to mount. Loren wore an imperturbable expression, but Eleanor was not nearly so calm when trapped behind the bars of a jail cell. Dora! You don't have to shout so loud, I'm right here, you know. You haven't been able to get us out of here like you promised. Don't you have anything to say for yourself? We were counting on you. And somebody owes me 10 gold pieces, I'm just saying. Calm down, I'm working on it. I didn't think they'd use this type of lock. You were just going to lockpick us out? I thought you had connections or wiles to talk ourselves out. You're just a common thief, aren't you? Hey, don't go throwing around that word so lightly. I might borrow things without permission and forget to give them back, but I am not a common thief. This lock is just unpickable, that's all. I trusted you, and now we're in here to rot. All of you, shut up! Eleanor jumped slightly as she looked over to where she was confined. I'm sorry. Just because we can't escape by the method we originally wanted doesn't mean that we can't still escape. Do you have a plan? I've been thinking non-stop. I may have something, but it will take some coordinating to execute properly. It doesn't involve killing, does it? I hate killing. It gets all over my robes. Oh, buy some new robes, you dunderhead. Stop bickering for 2 minutes. Her Grace has something to say. Dora and Draco grew bashfully silent. What is your plan, my Majesty? Your Majesty? Your Majesty. God damn. Read what you're looking at, Richard. Loren's eyes met with Eleanor's as she looked at her like she was more than just a slave for the first time. It's risky, and yes, it does involve killing. Oh, drats. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to rot in this jail cell for much longer. I have to find my mother. Loren closed her eyes for a moment as she returned to her thoughts. We can kill the guard who brings our food and use his keys to unlock our cell. We'll also steal his weaponry, and then we... Before her thoughts could continue, the sound of the guard's heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. Everyone in the party came to attention and looked to see an old man surrounded by several armoured men. He stopped in front of their cell and waved the men to leave. Hello, Gandalf. Eleanor surveyed the man curiously, knowing full well... Bugger! Click spacebar there without meaning to. Sorry, guys. Eleanor watched with a flicker of worry in his eyes as the old mage eyed Loren intensely. She looked as though she was ready to spring into action at any moment. The expression of the old man was imperturbable. Good day, young foreigners. Who are you? You're very different from a prisoner, young lady. But there is no reason for me not to introduce myself properly. My name is I can't even pronounce that. Polymesho. Polymesho? My name is Polymesho, and I am but an arch-wizard of the Grimoire. So what do you want with us? Well, your group is a very unique bunch. We don't see a collection of individuals with such a diverse background in these parts. Loren looked suspicious of the old man, but she remained silent as she listened to his explanation. Since you're all quite unique, we have a proposition for you. Would you be interested in hearing our offer? I doubt we have very much choice in the matter. This town's council is willing to forgive you for the trouble you stirred up, if you will help us with a very urgent matter. There is a precious artifact that we are trying to recover, but all of our attempts to get it back thus far have been thwarted. The Empire is in search of the only known holy sword left in existence, the Ember Blade. It is said to be atop Mount Cronus. But that mountain is in elven territory. The old mage's brow furrowed after being addressed by an elf. So it is. You no doubt know the impossibility of humans travelling through elven territory. Being one. Eleanor frowned from hearing the venom in I can't even pronounce that. I'm so sorry, dear viewers. You would think they would let us pass because we're not all humans, correct? That is exactly what we hope. Since your group is small and a mixed kind, we are hoping the elves will think that you are simply travellers rather than on a mission for the Empire. So you just want us to go up the mountain, retrieve the sword, and then we're free to go? Yes. Easy peasy. Almost too easy. What's the catch? The journey to Mount Cronus is not an easy one. The forest has many dangers, so the elves will not be your only threat. The mountains themselves are home to the mountain dwarves, snow goblins, and other hostile creatures. Dora frowned at his comment, but Loren interjected before the dwarf woman had the chance to say anything more. I'm looking for my missing mother. That is our priority and why we came to this town. If your freedom is not incentive enough... It's not. Well, as a member of the council, I can make use of all the resources available to me to find your missing loved one. I may even personally know her whereabouts. What is your mother's name? Loren tensed. Queen Karen of the Amazons. Silence fell for a few moments after she admitted the truth of their mission. Apollomisio didn't seem to be surprised by her statement, and instantly drew up conclusions in his mind. He nodded in response. I can most certainly help you. The surprise reflected in Loren's eyes was clear. Are you serious? Do I have your word? Yes, you most certainly do, Princess. I will be glad to assist you, if you first accept my task. Loren hesitated for a moment, a war of thoughts pulling back and forth in her mind before she nodded somberly. I will accept your mission then. We will venture through Elven territory to retrieve the artifact for you. Excellent, you quite? Tired to start recording this at night. Wonderful. I will be accompanying you, of course, to ensure that everything goes as planned. You mean to make sure we don't run away? You could say that. Loren looked over to Eleanor, a glimmer of excitement reflected in her eyes. This will still be good, though. Any help is welcome. I'm sure you'll be a valuable asset to our group. We will await your instruction. Of course. I am glad that you have accepted our proposition. As long as you keep your word as well. You need not be concerned with me keeping my word, nor about me slowing you down. I can already tell already. My magic sense is tingling just looking at him. He's definitely not as harmless as he may seem. I'm sure that travelling with the lot of you will be a memorable experience. Oh, awesome. Someone thinks I'm memorable. What did I tell you, Your Highnessship? I told you I was special. You are special, but not in a good way. Why do you have to say it like that? We already have a magician. Are you any good with that there magic staff? I did not become the Archmage by chance, if that's what you're asking. Good enough for me. The more we have, the quicker we can get this over with. Agreed. When do we leave? Tomorrow, before dawn. I'm sorry to say that I cannot free you from the dungeon until that time. So sleep as well as you can. We have a long road ahead of us. Your party set up before proceeding. Well, he's another mage, so let's put him in the back row. Okay, excellent. Loren's walk was noticeably more forced. To Eleanor, it was clear that she was unhappy with her situation of being forced to do a man's chore before getting his help. However, her silence told her that she was willing to do it, for her mother's sake. Careful. We will be travelling along the outskirts of the Elven Forest. Keep your eyes out for hostiles. Do you think they'll just start attacking us? I wouldn't put it past them. The wizard said it with disgust, glaring at the trees. Eleanor walked by Loren's side silently, heeding Alphysmo's warning against her better judgment of the elves. But she heard movement in the forest nearby. No one revealed themselves, but it put Eleanor on alert just the same. The skyline of Mount Kronos formed in front of them, and it looked like a perilous climb. Alphysmo urged them to keep up a quick pace, however, and Loren did not argue. The last of the trees were about to be behind them, while Eleanor heard the noise from the wind in them yet again. She spun round. Between the trunks of the trees stood a few elves with their weapons drawn, closely guarding their home. The elf in front gestured with his hand, and the others disappeared into the forest. He gave Eleanor a long look before turning back as well. Eleanor? The group had not stopped and was about to go on without her. Coming! They had passed through the elven territory unscathed, but an even greater challenge was before them. Meanwhile, in the northern border of the region, an evil force was crafting sinister plans. The party was still innocently unaware of this creature's actions, but it was only a matter of time until that would change. I love a good Doom Fortress. Seriously, I do. Yeah, sorry. A heavily armoured, mysterious being sat on its throne, comfortable in the hot room, despite the volcano's lava flowing so near. This evil thing's name was Faust, a name that would come to be spat and whispered in fear. He looked up to see Jewel, his servant succubus, approaching him, swaying hips back and forth. Your news. Karen has been taken care of. Good. Any complications? Her daughter, Loren, is looking for her as we speak. She is a very determined woman, so I doubt she will give up searching easily. Before he could respond to her, Grob came forward to kneel before him. My lord, I have returned. It's about time. I have come bearing good news. I have taken care of Loren and her party. They're now imprisoned in a human city. Were you really able to capture them that easily? Yes, my lord. Jewel frowned and crossed her arms. She knew that Fost would not like the news, but she could not keep it to herself. But they aren't in prison. Not a one of them. Fost's gaze was indiscernible, but the air was thick with tension in the ensuing silence. Care to elaborate? Exactly that. They're not in prison. They're waltzing around freely. Grob simply scoffed. Even if they aren't, they've been dealt with. My plans are going perfectly. It doesn't matter which side they end up on, or where they are right now. They are going to trigger a war between the humans and the elves, just as we wanted. Tell me again how Loren's involvement in this would help us. She was supposed to be imprisoned. Simple, my lord. They will be at the heart of the conflict, not us. We will be able to begin our invasion freely, and there's a good chance that Loren will be killed in the struggle between the two warring races. They will be distracted, fighting against each other, and with their usual group, fatality is nearly guaranteed. Fost remained silent, considering the explanation carefully, and trying to calculate the potential repercussions, and what could go wrong. Grob's plan wasn't entirely foolproof, but it did sound surprisingly thorough though, considering who had crafted it. I approve of these plans. Let us see how far they succeed. And they had better succeed, Grob. Do I make myself clear? Transparent, my lord. Can we at least send someone to watch over Loren and her party? They've gained a new ally already. They could be more dangerous than we think. You speak the truth. Make it so. As I have said before, you do not have to worry. I've taken care of that matter as well. What do you mean? As I said, my lord, there is already someone watching over them, very closely. Everything will go according to plan. I have made sure of it. For your sake, it had better. Does that mean we've got a traitor in the group? I hate games that use traitor in the group as a thing, because, well, frankly, it always annoys me. Right, let's count. Talk party members, valuable dialogue. Excellent. So let's start with... Now, the fact that they're over here makes me think that we're going to have a pretty decent lineup of... Ooh. So what... Okay. So we've got our inventory screen. Let's just have a look at our new dude. Old quarterstaff. He's also got no quarterstaff. That's fine. Again, you know, for an archmage, he's got pretty rubbish gear. That's the problem with RPGs. Even when you get meant to be getting a character who's sort of, you know, super arc mage wizard type person. Yes, that was definitely English. They've always got rubbish gear at the beginning, which always annoys me. Anyway, I can see that I'm coming up on probably about time on this video. So what I will say is I will stop this video here and then continue the game and have a chat with these party members in part 4, I believe is the next one. So thank you very much for watching part 3. I've been RMP792.